Hello vegan adventurers and welcome to another exciting video from Antalya, Turkey. And today we'll be exploring ancient Roman city of Perge. So let's get into the vlog. Perge is 18 kilometers east of Antalya and the border of Aksu district. It is one of the most well laid out Roman cities not only in the Pamphylian region but in the whole Anatolia, with its characteristic structures and built to a planned city model. From research conducted on the Perge Acropolis, Perge has also a prehistoric past that dates back to the late Chalcolithic period, 5th millennium BC, and employed the ceramic repertoire of the Western Anatolian Bronze Age in the 3rd millennium BC, had been an area of settlement from the prehistoric age onwards. The subsequent Roman period of the city of Perge employed a long period of peace and economic prosperity provided by the Roman peace, the Pax Romana, to construct many major public buildings including a theatre, stadium, agora, monument of fountains and baths, which still remain visible today. The last glorious period for the city of Perge in history was the 5th and 6th centuries AD, when the Roman Empire was a Christian empire and the city became a metropolitan center in the church organization, and a monumental basilica were built. So you can see, guys, this was definitely made somewhere, but this part could be real and that on the top is real as well. There's also man-made, this one, this is also real, but this bottom, for example, that's real. You can see the difference, it's parts missing already. This bottom also real, but all of this is man-made. In Perge there are two column streets that divide the city into four and intersect each other in the north, and with other main streets extending in the north-south and east-west direction in the lower town. As the main artery of the city in the north-south section, the column main street extends for nearly 480 meters. Nearly 22 meters wide, this street is suitable for both pedestrians and vehicles, and the wheel marks can be seen worn into completely paved yellowish limestone surface of the street. There are paths on the street at 6.5 meters wide on the west and 5.5 meters on the east of the street. The floors of these paths have mosaic tiling in the geometric patterns made of colorful tesserae of limestone, marble and terracotta. There is a unique open water channel in the middle of the street that extends with the descending ground level. Inside the channel was divided into compartments with limestone blocks rising to the upper limit in every 8 meters. The function of this repeated change in level is thought to have been to lessen the rate of flow, enabling the dirt to sink to the bottom and thereby providing cleaner water throughout the length of the channels. As we got till the end of this column street, we started going up with the stairs, where we see these remains of some houses, and we even got into one of them, and you can see how this was underwater and under soil for some time, so they had to dig out a little bit, but it's interesting that it's still holding up even with the roof. Alright, and over here we hiked up to this hill just above the excavation site, and we see that there are more remnants of some buildings, but they are not fully excavated yet. But we also found this house here that was actually the most interesting from what we've seen so far, with all the amazing architecture and these pillars, also some Roman writing on the wall, and you can see how much it was buried by the soil over time when it rained and the soil got inside. But we haven't seen any people here, and there was no information about this house, so they probably don't want people to come here because they're afraid the roof could collapse. The Nymphaeon of Kestros. The river god Kestros is placed at the back in front of the window niche on the balcony-shaped facade. The statue was accompanied statues of the leading members of the Greek pantheon, Zeus, Artemis and Apollon, which are today in the Antalya Museum. Over here we can see the hill that we hiked a few minutes ago, and you can see that there are remains of buildings and walls all around this hill, all the way to the other side. So the city must have been very big, especially for that period of time. Intersecting with Column Main Street in front of the Demetrius Apollonius Arch, the Column Western Street extends to the western gate, which leads to the western necropolis, noteworthy for its rich tombs. The street, which in general is well preserved, is 460 meters long and 8 meters wide. Palastra and Gymnasium. Raised on the southern slope of Acropolis in the northwestern of the city, the Palastra Sport Academy Exercise Hall was constructed of ashlar limestone blocks, like the other important public buildings of Perge. It is a square in a planned two-story structure, and excavation work has not been completed. It is possible to say that it was planned as an independent complex, differing from the Roman period gymnasia, as one of the most important palastra in Antalya in terms of both its state preservation and its sizes. It's been about 2000 years since the Roman Empire, and you can see how much topsoil has accumulated around these blocks that are still standing here. So without excavations and diggings, all these pillars would be still buried deep in the soil. Who knows how many more treasures and buildings can be recovered around here where the excavations still didn't start. The fountain was unearthed at the end of the columned Western Street during the excavations conducted by Antalya Museum in 2014. This monumental structure is today called the Caracalla Nymphaeon and has a front wall 15 meters long with a pool 2.5 meters deep. In front of this pool there are statues of gods and goddesses from Greek mythology such as Apollon, Helios, Aphrodite and Nemesis. They are moved to an Antalya Museum. Here we scramble up this little wall and we got to another part where we see more buildings, but some of them you can see are close to collapsing, so that's why I think they didn't really put a path here so that it doesn't collapse on some people coming here, but I think for us it was definitely worth it. They're some of the most impressive buildings in the whole complex here. mosaic pavement in this house depicts a scene from the Trojan War, a landmark story of antiquity. It can be said that the room was not used as a shop, but rather as a religious place with offering sacrificial function in the 2nd century AD, and then the room was converted to a hagiasma or a health center during the Eastern Roman period in the 5th and 6th centuries AD. Over here we found some remains of some kind of pipe system, perhaps used for water or maybe canalization. It's very impressive that over 2000 years ago they already had aqueducts and system for transporting water, the basis on systems that we still use today. They're so advanced that they even had a floor heating and warm heated pools. Over here you can see one of the true pillars from the Roman Empire, judging by how beaten up it is already and cracked. But still impressive how they're able to carve all these big pillars just from one rock and smooth it out like this. Over here we can see interesting details in this pavement mosaic where they use two different rocks to make it. The Hadrianus Arch, situated to the north of oval-shaped Hellenistic city towers at the start of Perge's column main street, is of 2 stories with 3 arches. As evidence of its name, this monumental gate was constructed during the reign of Emperor Hadrianus, 117 to 138 AD. Over here we can see remains of some paved floor, which looked pretty amazing for the time when it was built. And even now it will be something pretty spectacular. So it's nothing like it looks like now. This must have been looking pretty good back in the days. And it's still impressive that some of the things survive till today. Over here we can see some excavated underground building, and I'm not sure if this is a storage place that the Romans were using or if this is the remains of some other civilization that was here before Romans, and the Romans just basically built on top of that. The Southern Baths complex is one of the city's 2 major bath complexes. These baths have 4 main sections: Apoditerium, Frigidarium, Tepidarium and Caldarium. Guests first visit the Apoditerium, serving as the changing room with the shelves on the walls. Next to this section is the swimming pool, Natatio, most probably used as a cleaning area after fitness training in the Palastria. The next room is apsidal in a plan containing the cold bath, Frigidarium. This section is followed by the warm bath, Tepidarium, the hypocaust where the heating system collapse was located, and the hot bath, Caldarium. The stadium. This structure near to the theater of Perge is likewise located outside of the city walls and is one of the best preserved stadiums surviving from antiquity today. The total length of the stadium is 234 meters and curvature appears in the middle section. The running track, approximately 34 meters wide, was separated by a wall constructed at a later date. There are 5 gates to this arena, 1 in the north, 2 in the east and 2 in the west, and there are 8 vertical stairs with the 22 steps in the arena section. The stadium had capacity of around 12,000 people. And over here we can see these huge pieces of marble pillars, and it still amazes me how they were able to transport these huge pieces of rocks and work it into a smooth shape like this with the tools that they had at the time. Theater. Leaning against the slope of Cocabelan Hill, the Perge Theater was constructed in the Greco-Roman style. The auditorium of the well-preserved theater is semicircular in plan and extends at both ends. The theater was first constructed in the Greek form and was then transformed into Roman style. As in other theaters of antiquity, the theater of Perge consists of three main sections: the stage building, the orchestra, and the tiers for seating. The high exterior wall of the stage building was strengthened through the use of special arched walls. The stage, designed in a Roman style, is 52 meters long. The stage had 5 doors, the central one being larger than the others, and the facade was embellished with the friezes of extraordinary beauty carved by the artists of Perge. The tiers of seating are divided into two by a diazoma. There are 19 seating tiers below the middle walkway in the first section and 12 stairways that divide their tiers vertically, and in the second upper section there are 23 seating tiers and 24 vertical stairs. The theater has a solid seating area for the audience with a capacity to hold nearly 12,000 people. Alright adventurers, that's it for today's exploration of the ancient Roman city of Perge. It was truly amazing to see these 2000-year-old structures still standing today and gave us a hint of how Romans were living at the time. Alright guys, we have just one more video coming up from Turkey, so stay tuned for that. And as always, stay healthy and stay adventurous!